What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Today, we're going to be going over an underdog draft that I did as part of the Best Ball Mania 3, trying to win either $1 million for the highest scoring team in the whole tournament or first place team. I believe they're giving away $1 million to both. So a lot of money up for grabs here. We'll see how I did. We're going to look at quarterback and wide receiver early, two kind of talking points I have for this video, things that other teams did wrong, something that I did wrong. That'll kind of just walk you through my entire thought process for the draft. Usually we're going to be doing Tuesday night 8 p.m. live streams for this kind of stuff, but Celtics playing at 8:30 this week, so I'm going to be in Boston watching that game. Obviously it's an away game, and I'll be in Boston watching it, and so we're not going to do that this week. So we'll catch back up in future weeks. I think we can take 1 week off, but yeah, still similar style content. So we'll talk about my team in a second. I wanted to go over, and I'll pull up the overall draft board when we talk about my team. I think it's a little bit better viewing it this way. The two teams we're going to look at to start. I have the article on the website that talks about how many quarterbacks you should draft. The general idea is actually something I messed up, and I'll get to that in a second. But it definitely is suboptimal to take one quarterback and 4 quarterbacks. Now, this team here went with a 4 quarterback, 4 running back, 8 receiver, 2 tight end build, and I actually think they did a pretty good job overall. Now, the quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston. My thinking is that they went with Watson and they were just concerned. They looked at Lance and Watson and were like, wow, I'm not even sure these guys are both going to be starting, because there's a possibility Jimmy Garoppolo is starting quarterback to start the year. They looked at that Watson gets suspended. Maybe they just thought that they needed more options, but it's just not best to do. If you're playing in a tournament of this size and you draft Watson, you're assuming that the other quarterback you took does perfectly fine until he's back playing or that he doesn't get suspended, right? Because you're not taking down this tournament even if Watson goes off, because you took so many quarterbacks. It's very suboptimal to take 1 and to take 4. This team takes 4. But again, this team didn't do that bad. They got McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Clyde, and Donta Foreman. I actually was thinking about taking Donta Foreman in the final round. Ended up going a different direction that you guys will see. But I think those are perfectly fine picks. For wide receivers, they didn't do that bad. A.J. Brown, McLaurin, Cooks, Devonta Smith, Devonta Parker, Jahan Dotson, Bell, Mechie, that's a solid cast. And then Kittle and Logan Thomas, that's not bad. So I think the team is fine. I think they can still be good. I just think it could have been an elite team. This could have been such a good team if they just said, hey, Lance Watson, we're taking a risk there, but let's go for it. Get a little bit more depth at running back. I know they kind of handcuffed McCaffrey and Foreman, but there's still going to be plenty of weeks where it's they would prefer different options, especially if we think Leonard Fournette, doesn't necessarily have as large of a role that he had last season. So maybe, taking one of the Winston, taking that and making it extra depth at the running back position. And then even taking Derek Carr at that pick, getting just another solid wide receiver, because again, you need to start 3 receivers. And as much as I like this group, there's definitely a chance that Parker does nothing, Dotson, Bell, Mechie all take a little bit of time to get going, and you're really just relying on 4 receivers, 2 of which are on one team, and neither of which you have stacked with the quarterback. So still problems with the team, but overall, I think one of the better 4 quarterback teams you're going to see. I don't think you should be taking 4 quarterbacks. And then, of course, I'll give you the example of why you don't take 1 quarterback, despite this team being very strong at running back and actually getting a Sanders value that I'll talk about in a second that I wanted to get. Having Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, Jarrell Henderson, Tyrion Davis-Price, that's a really, really strong running back core. You're going to get good production from this running back core. And a wide receiver, look at all these options. Waddle, Pittman, Judy, Bateman, Sky Moore, Olave, Gallup, Alec Pierce, AJ Green. It's that's great and all. How many points do you think AJ Green's going to get you? For this team, for all these guys to work out and stuff, how many points is AJ Green going to contribute to the team? You're better off just taking some scrub quarterback late that is sometimes going to outproduce Trevor Lawrence, that is going to play when Trevor Lawrence is on bye. You're just taking a 0 at quarterback. You just need Trevor Lawrence to have a monster season. If you're ever going to take 1 quarterback, they need to have a top 3 season. They need to be dominant, because it really comes into play. Basically, the whole idea as to why you could take 1 is if you're trying to win this tournament, all you need to do is make it into the playoffs for this, and then just keep advancing. If you have one quarterback that just goes off in all those weeks, you have a huge edge over teams that drafted like 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And like maybe Trevor Lawrence, we'll just say Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback 1 this season. It's not going to happen. We'll say it is. And this guy just keeps going off. Well, if anyone else is also relying on Lawrence and has 2 other spots at quarterback, this team is passing them, right? But for that to happen, you need a dominant season, and that's so unlikely for Lawrence. I mean, he had like an 8-game stretch last season with 1 total touchdown. Like, you think Christian Kirk's fixing all that, and like Etienne, like probably not, right? Doesn't even have Etienne with him. I didn't even look. It doesn't even have a stacking partner with Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence you're relying on for a monster season, but you have no one stacked with him. Like, that just makes absolutely no sense. So make sure you're entering tournaments like this. This is a $25 buy-in, right? This is not a cheap thing. Not just throwing away money here. Like, that's a difficult, it's a difficult like group of people you're playing against. This team has no chance. Like, there's just no chance to advance. Obviously, you don't get any money back if you don't advance. So rough, really rough. And then Taysom Hill at tight end. Like, what you do the Taysom Hill pick instead of drafting just like another quarterback. Just to me, it makes no sense. So don't be like this team. But my team didn't do all that fantastic. I think it was fine. Maybe I'll title something in this video also like wide receiver early, because the research that we've done, again on the site, thefantasyfootballadvice.com, the research does show that like it's not best taking wide receiver early typically. I just thought that this draft and many drafts this year are a little bit unique in that you start off, we're seeing all these running backs go early, and we're seeing like this start basically every draft. Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, right? That's just kind of how drafts are starting. And then this next pick can be Derrick Henry, it can be Austin Eckler, it can be your favorite wide receiver. They go with Derrick Henry. That's a tough spot to be in because you're like choosing between 2. You know, at 5, I kind of just got to like take who they didn't do. What was interesting was I went with Jamar Chase here. And again, I did the video Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson. I'm doing Chase. I think you can flip-flop it however you want. I'm just going to do Chase. It was interesting because I'm kind of starting this mini run at wide receiver, right? Chase, Jefferson, Diggs, Devonta Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill. Like, all these guys are kind of going, and then Mike Evans also goes second round. Like, all these guys kind of going there. But especially the first round. After I go, there's still 4 more wide receivers that all go in the first round. So I'm beginning a run. And you always want to begin runs and not end them. Then, after that happens, we see kind of a run happen at running back. I wanted to get Joe Mixon. My plan after taking Chase was to hope that Joe Mixon was there and then to take Joe Burrow and get, a Bengals stack. It didn't end up happening. Mixon goes. Then I was going to go Swift probably, and then Swift goes right before me. And so I was like, I didn't want to go running back because I thought that everyone before me was getting a better value, right? And you remember, you're playing the people in your league. You're trying to outproduce all these other teams. And if I look at it and I say, well, this guy got a Diggs and Josh Allen stack. We have a team with 2 dominant running backs. We have a team that has Justin Jefferson and Swift. Like, for me to take Jamar Chase and then like Nick Chubb, it would have been, I didn't feel that I was beginning with the best team. I thought I was beginning, at a disadvantage to like multiple teams in this league, especially when you look at like Jonathan Taylor and Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp and Aaron Jones. Like, these are maybe better builds than if I had started off Chase and Chubb. So I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to end a run that was happening at running back. I wanted to kind of begin another run. I knew there was going to be a billion wide receivers drafted in the middle rounds. Everyone at this point knows the optimal strategy at Underdog, which is probably going to change, to be honest, this season, because everyone knows the research shows you do running back early, you hammer a bunch of wide receivers, and you just fill other things in late, right? Now, there's other little nuances there that are in like the articles, but that's like the general idea that people have. And so everyone is starting to do builds like that. Every single person is doing it, and so you have very common builds. So I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, okay, well, I started off Chase. Why don't I grab Tyreek Hill, someone that I will pretty easily be able to stack later. It's kind of easy to end up getting Tua late in drafts. You'll see that I end up doing that. I can kind of easily do a Jamar Chase and Burrow stack with a Tyreek Hill and Tua stack, and I don't really need to worry about anything else the rest of this roster. I can kind of just do one-offs. I don't need to worry about stacking because I have those 2 locked in. And also doing that allows me to go wide receiver, which is something that only one other team did. I'm differentiating a little bit in this draft. And also, if everyone is going to draft wide receivers, well, now I need running back at a time when everyone is making them available. Now, this can not work out if you get into the dead zone. I wanted to make sure I got the running backs before my top options were like, even just like Mitchell, Jacobs, Dillon, Pollard, Harris, like that whole range. I don't want those to be my top guys, but I thought I'd still have decent options after round 2. So I start off Chase and Tyreek Hill. Comes back around, I get Javonte Williams at, I believe, 7 spots of value. I think his ADP was at 22, and I was really happy with that pick. I was obviously hoping we'd get like a Chubb, Fournette, Aaron Jones to fall to me, but that didn't. Someone reached on Zeke, and then they just kept attacking wide receiver, tight end, and so I got Williams. Then the next pick, I was hoping these two would, I had basically Akers, Montgomery, and Dobbins, all as very, very similar picks. And I was going to be so excited if I could get 2 of them. Williams, Akers, and then one of Dobbins or Dave Montgomery. I actually believe I have both Montgomery and Dobbins ranked ahead of Akers, but I was looking at ADP, and this is a very important thing to understand. It didn't work out for me. But there was no way Akers was going to be available at the next pick, right? His ADP was like 36. I was already getting him at like more than half a round of value. I thought there was no way he fell to 53. But I thought with the ADPs on Montgomery and Dobbins were closer to like the upper 40s, there was a chance that one of them slipped to the next pick. And so instead of taking someone that had projected for like, 3 more points, but had an ADP way further, take the guy I have projected. Again, that's like 30 rushing yards, right? It's very variant there. Take the guy I have projected a little bit lower, but that's going at a higher ADP. Hope I get the other 2. It doesn't happen. Montgomery goes after me. Dobbins goes like 2 picks later. And then Breece Hall also comes off the board. So then I got to this 5th round pick, and I'm like, okay, I have options, right? I can go back to wide receiver, but everyone was taking them. Look at all of these wide receivers that are coming off the board. I mean, I'll just list off the people who are, listening on Spotify. Starting in round 3 through my pick, which was like pick 5 in round 5. So that's, a decent amount of picks, but here are the wide receivers that come off the board. I mean, it's Higgins, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Waddle, DJ Moore, Mari Cooper, Pittman, Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Juju. All that comes off the board. And so when I'm sitting here in the 5th round, my top options are Michael Thomas, Gabriel Davis, Judy, St. Brown, Brandon Cooks. Those, to me, are just not 5th round receivers. They're just not guys who should be going that early in drafts. And so even though it would be nice to have gotten a wide receiver, I felt like a cliff had happened, and I'm not about to take the beginning of this whole tier. And I thought so many of the wide receivers in rounds 5 through 9 were the exact same player that I just didn't want to be the first one to take them. And so I go with our boy Travis Etienne. I keep drafting him. I'm pretty sure his ADP is going to rise, but hasn't yet, so that's awesome. So I grab him. I lock in the 3rd running back, and I basically say to myself, okay, I've got my 2 wide receivers. I've got 3 running backs. I'm going to abandon running back for a while. I'm going to make sure I get this stack. That's what I do in the next round is I just grab Joe Burrow. I say, honestly, I got Burrow to value. I think his ADP is like 60. I was kind of sweating that one out a little bit, but I wanted to secure that. And then I was like, I can kind of relax after this point. I can take some chances. Now, it doesn't work. So I thought that was a really good first 6 rounds. Next pick, I go with Dalton Schultz. And I basically did that because I was looking into round 8, and I was like, okay, if I could get Miles Sanders in round 8, which he was slipping in the draft, I thought it was possible someone just didn't want him, I would have locked up 4 running backs I feel good about. I could take 0 for the rest of the draft, feel comfortable with that, and just hammer out wide receiver, grab extra tight ends, extra quarterbacks, do whatever I wanted. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I said, if that doesn't happen, what if I could get a stack with Dalton Schultz? What if I could get Schultz here? Because I thought Schultz was kind of getting towards the value. I was like, I don't think he'll be available in the next round. And so I was like, if I can grab Schultz and Dak is available at a huge value in the 8th round, because for some reason Dak is slipping a bunch this year, then that would be really, really good for my team. I didn't want to take Dak because I thought it left me open to basically like forcing me to take, like a tertiary option on Dallas late. And I didn't really want to do that. I already knew I had the Tua stack probably locked in. And so I was like, why take Dak and like force myself to take a Dallas receiver late, and then maybe someone else takes him, and then I just have no one to stack him with. I didn't want to do that, so I was like, let me take Schultz. If someone takes Dak Prescott, it's totally fine. You can just do a one-off with Schultz. That's fine. And that's unfortunately what ends up happening. Someone takes Dak at the end of the 7th round, Miles Sanders in the beginning of the 8th round, and so I'm left with none of the guys I wanted. And so I hate the Christian Kirk pick. I don't think that's a great pick, but there was no one else. I would have loved Hunter Renfrow. I would have liked like Drake London, Treylon Burks, Sky Moore, Adam Thielen, all those guys. All of them come off the board. I would have liked Kenneth Walker. He comes off the board. So kind of a brutal end of the 7th, early 8th round for me. I was basically between Lockett and Kirk. Makes a choice for me, takes Kirk. At that point, I was like, okay, maybe I can make this work out for me and I can go grab Evan Ingram later, obviously, and then do Trevor Lawrence. Of course, I didn't get Lawrence because we talked about that one team that grabbed him. That kind of went through my mind. So I was like, okay, maybe I grab Kirk and we can kind of do that a little bit later. Next round, Tyler Boyd was kind of an easy pick for me. Again, the receivers in this range, no one was standing out. And so I was like, well, I already have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Why not grab Tyler Boyd? What if Higgins gets hurt? Or what if, honestly, there's just a game later in the season where Burrow throws for 500 yards, and 200 of them go to Chase, and 100 a touchdown goes to Tyler Boyd. Like, that can absolutely happen. And so why not? Is he really any different than like Robert Woods, Lazard, Christian Watson? I thought Olave would fall to my next pick, and I was hoping to take him then. He doesn't. But, MVS, Claypool, Gallup, like I don't see a huge difference, so why not just go with the stack? In the 10th round, I grabbed Jameson Williams. That is a guy that I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's video. So I guess we can wait a little bit. Am I? Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to include him in tomorrow's video. But I like him. I like him as a player. He was the I would say consensus number 1 wide receiver in the draft before the injury. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he would have been people's favorite wide receiver. Of course, he does get injured. I don't remember what he ends up going, but in around in that 3 to 4 range. I don't remember. I know that London went before him, and then I believe Garrett Wilson went first, but now I don't even remember. But he went very, very early in the first round, anyways. But he's a fantastic talent. I think the Lions are going to be better than people think, and so I love that pick, especially because it's an upside play weekly, right? He's a player that can hit on deep balls, and those are the guys we want on Underdog. So like that, of course, remember Tua, we had the stack in our mind, so we had to complete the stack there, got him at a slight value at 125. And then we're in the 12th round. And it was, again, a pick I didn't love. I don't think there was anyone that got taken before me. I was considering Isaiah Spiller. I was considering a handcuff of Alexander Madison or Rachaad White, kind of those guys. I did kind of want Gesicki, even though I don't like him as a player this season. I thought if he fell to the 12th round and I could do a Tua, Tyreek Hill, Gesicki stack, that would be nice. But I didn't have anything I was in love with. I thought Tim Patrick actually was the number 1 value on the board. I think his ADP was way earlier than this. And of course, you guys know, I think Russell Wilson's fantastic. I think Tim Patrick, to begin with, was an undervalued player. I think he is a number 2 on most teams. They just happen to have, 2 really good receivers ahead of him. So if there's an injury, he can break out. Even if there's not an injury, I think he can produce solid games, spiked weeks. And so I just thought that was a good, one-off pick. Then we fall apart in my eyes. And then we kind of pick it back up doing well later. I think these next, I guess Cole Kmet was fine. I was basically just I need a second tight end that doesn't stink. And so I grabbed Cole Kmet. Then I screwed up. Jared Goff. I take my 3rd quarterback, basically saying I want the stack with Jameson Williams. So I have 3 really good stacks on this team. We've got Jamar Chase with Burrow, one of the best stacks you can have. We've got Tyreek Hill with Tua, another fantastic stack, just because Tyreek Hill can hit for 5 for 150 and 2 scores, and that's just going to elevate Tua in that week. And then I really, really like the stack of Jared Goff and Jameson Williams. I love it. The problem is, like I said, I alluded to earlier, the research shows, at least last season, you are better off taking 2 quarterbacks instead of 3 unless you're getting 2.5 rounds of value for that 3rd quarterback. I had forgotten that. I was trying to remember when I was doing the draft, but I kind of ran out of time. I also looked at this pick. I was kind of doing other things at the same time. I looked at this pick with 10 seconds left, and I had Goff still in the queue from when I was doing Tua. This is something we need to be cognizant of. When I took Tua, I should have X'd out Goff from my queue. but I had Goff and I think I had Mostert, honestly, as the two players in the queue. And I was like, okay, I want Goff, kind of forgetting that whole thing of like it needs to come into value. Goff was not. I think I actually reached for him by like a few spots. It was nothing crazy. But I love him as a player in fantasy for the season because he's going in like the 14th round. You can stack him so easily. But I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken Mostert, even though I got him in the next round. I should have taken Mostert here. I should have used this extra pick to get a little bit more depth at running back. As you can see, I only have the 4 running backs, so I should have gotten, honestly, Jamal Williams probably. I should have taken Mostert here, gotten Jamal Williams here, gotten 5 running backs, been more confident in that, especially because I didn't take one in the first 2 rounds. I could have gone with another wide receiver. I think my wide receiver core is really good, but I think that, would have been a problem adding in like an Alec Pierce or a Jalen Tolbert? Absolutely not, right? So if I could add that in, just get a little bit more upside at that position would have been better. I think my quarterback core is going to be fantastic for the draft capital that I spent on it, but it's not optimal. And I think I should have gone differently. But hey, at least I didn't go with a stack that I don't love, right? I still love the Goff and Williams stack. And who knows? Again, we have 1 year of data for Underdog. It's entirely possible that it turns out that 3 quarterbacks is optimal this season since we only had 1 year of data to kind of analyze. So we'll kind of see next season if that changes. But moving forward, I would say we should probably stick to the take 2 quarterbacks, different bye weeks, and then if you want to take a third, if it completes a stack or you can get a stack after it at like 2.5 rounds of value, do it. But unless it's a big value, I shouldn't have done that. Mostert, you should just know that makes kind of sense to me. He's not going to be a high upside weekly play, but I wasn't looking for that. I just wanted that, 4th running back to be solid, get work, be on a good offense. I think Miami's a good offense. I think that teams are going to have to stop passing game. And I just think Mostert's going to have some games where he has, 80 and a touchdown, and that's going to be good enough for me. Then after this, I do think we ended strong. So I think it was only a few blunders. I just didn't love this whole middle section of how the Schultz, Kirk, Boyd section worked out. And then I don't love how this section worked out just because of my blunder at quarterback. But I think we ended strong. We grabbed Hayden Hurst in the 16th round. Of course, that's going along with Burrow. I think that's just a smart thing to do. If Burrow's going to have a monster season, and like Hayden Hurst, if he's going to score 5 touchdowns, you're just going to correlate that really well with the Burrow weeks. And so I think that just made sense. Research shows grab 3 tight ends, even if you're spending like 2 mid picks, which I didn't do, grab 3. I don't think anyone should feel confident with like Schultz and Cole Kmet as their only 2 for the whole season. Remember, Underdog, you can't have like waivers and stuff. So I think grabbing that 3rd one was sharp. And then I grabbed Wan'Dale Robinson and Tyquan Thornton in the final 2 rounds. I was debating with the Thornton pick. Actually, I thought Wan'Dale was my final pick. And then I was about to go to the bathroom and I realized that I had another one. So I had to stay for a little bit longer. But I thought my choice was between Wan'Dale, Thornton, a little bit on Pringle, but I didn't really want him. I thought these 2 guys were better picks for this format. Justin Ross and Dubs, and then I think there was one other player. Oh, it was Foreman. So those are kind of in my consideration. I went with Wan'Dale. You guys have heard me say that before. Just I think that offense throws the ball a ton. I think that Sterling Shepard is coming off, the torn Achilles, and you've got just like so many issues with this offense, and that like they clearly wanted Robinson. They gave up a lot to get him. They took him at a spot when there were other really good receivers on the board. They clearly have a role for him in the offense. He's clearly being way undervalued, but I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow, so I don't need to go too in-depth in that. And then when I knew I had one more, I just wanted pure upside. I thought Thornton, one of the fastest receivers, if not the fastest receiver in this draft class. Clearly the Patriots are prioritizing speed when they were drafting. They got Strong super fast. They got Thornton super fast. They just want field stretchers. And so he's going to get the design looks deep. Mac Jones is a good deep quarterback. The offense is set up really well for play action. And so it just makes all the sense in the world that he's not going to be someone that necessarily you want in redraft leagues because you're never going to know when to start him and he's never going to command a high target share. But in Underdog, he's going to have a few weeks where he catches a very long pass. Could it end up happening where he has 3-4 weeks where he has, 70 and a score? Absolutely. And that's valuable in this format in the 18th round, right? So I thought that was sharp. And I do think if you went with like Justin Ross there, that's also sharp just because if he carved out a role, I mean, he's a really good talent, just, you know, the unfortunate, not even injury, like the medical condition, I guess, that he had. We don't really know if he's going to make the team. We don't really know if he's going to be able to hold up in the NFL. But it's the 18th round. Who cares, right? Like if you got 0 points from this pick, it would be fine, right? But I think I like how I ended it. So hopefully this draft nets us $1 million. Maybe we can do two. We can have the highest scoring team in the whole tournament, get the $1 million, and then win the tournament. We'll get $2 million, right? What are the odds that ends up happening? But yeah, I think I'll do a few of these. Again, in general, we're gonna do the live Underdog streams with you guys. So like this was like a tournament style. Maybe we'll do some of these drafts during those live streams as well. We'll do like, you know, one with you guys, one in the tournament. We'll just kind of see how things are looking. But yeah, the Celtics are playing this week. I'm not doing a live stream during the Celtics game. So that'll do it for this one. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.